Good morning from Falcon's Frontier, ready for another adventure. We join Jarrett Newton in the continued discovery here in the verse. We're currently in Orison, the green circle habitation area, the zen-like structures, blossom trees, and opulence that this place represents. It's nighttime out in Orison. We have a C1 Crusader Spirit spacecraft that we're going to have a look at, that we've rented, do some tasking, explore Pyro. So with that, we'll see if we can capture the ambience and spaces of this environment, all the while creating a conduit into alternate worlds. We hope to acquire, on top of that, a small personal transportation vehicle to carry with us in the Crusader C1 Spirit to explore some of the planets in and around Pyro. So let's begin. It was a striking degree of both the foundations and the essence in and around these zen-like structures and spaces that Orison represents, especially the blossom trees, the fragrant spaces, and that sense of opulence. I wonder if indeed we are able to make a coffee before we leave. Doesn't seem like we're able to retrieve one. We do have a coffee cup, but unfortunately no coffee to use, so let's rely on our store of coffees that we have with us and be enamored as we open to the spectacular vista and journey on through, taking our time to absorb the ambience, making sure that we have just the right pace to really experience the awesomeness that this place imparts. Taking in the views, the spectacular latticework, the floating Providence platform, the light spaces and the infinite horizon of Crusader's stratosphere. The Skytrain, and indeed the Stratus in the distance. Feel the fragrant air filtered through by all the zen-like gardens situated on the numerous platforms. That special temperate opulence, that elegance that Crusaders Orison is known for. Trying to journey on through, just experience what we can. And hopefully, in part, we're going to head to the Crusader Showroom and have a look before we go. The Star Runner. We did a presentation a few months ago with respect to the Star Runner, but it was marred with some technical sound issues. So we'll revisit Crusader Showroom, really get a sense of that incredibly versatile corporate look, known for its heavy weight, heaviness, its presence, and its corporate elegance. Zen-like structures. Crusader, a favorite of Falcon's Frontier in its journey. So the green circle habitation area, there's just something spectacularly unique and luxuriously elegant, sense of opulence that exudes from these stations, especially the green circle habitation area, the floating latticework here in Orison. Various info points emphasizing the origins of the journey, viewing platform, and green circles habitation area. Ever falling petals, the blossom tree leaves adorning the pristine walkways laden with the copper anodized blue steel, aluminium struts, panels, and the odd firefly. Real practice elegance here on the surface of this floating city. We remove our helmet.
Last call for passengers. The shuttle is preparing to depart.
Let's move our helmet. There, with the helmet removed, we can take in a huge lungful of clean, temperate, fragrant Orison air. Also have the opportunity as well to frame specific buildings, the viewing spaces, perhaps screenshot some of these spectacular views. There, the everfall into Crusader's core. Just some strengthened glass protecting us from infinite descent down into Crusader's core. Let's head to Crusader, the showroom. Another screenshot moment. Green circle habitation area lines the sleek spaces, the application of this unique and very, I suppose, impactful and inspirational design aesthetic that is employed here to place an emphasis purely on Crusader's influence, its opulence, and its clean lines. Very different from Lorville, different from Area 18, different from the Hyperworld and Microtech. Let's head to the Crusader Showroom. A quick view. Just want to experience that collection of people in status. Can't pass up the opportunity to press the exploded view mode on the it's just a marvelous little moment, especially those interactive buttons that you are to get, and the multiple displays that are available when you visit the Science Museum in London. An exceptional fusion of both displays and those small displays that contain within cabinets, glass cabinets. You push the button and you get this automated display of both wells, jet engines. It's one very intricate display of a textile factory manufacturing, and all the little tools, the little functions, the pulleys, the shuttles, the little mechanisms that make up this entire textile factory operate, and it's a really impressive sight. But there we have it, the white light, the corporate lines fused with the reflective blue here. It's just a very impressive demonstration. The open plan here, the design aesthetic of Crusader's showroom. Well, we have the white iron, also we have the Star Lifter and Star Runner. Star Runner, the main Box Frontier's main concern is It's the first acquisition. We're not in a position to acquire it, but we'll be doing multiple hauling and tasking. Okay, it's always an impressive opportunity to really take in the design aesthetic, especially the fusion, the concrete, sleek lines, the spaces, the environments, all part of the journey here. Hercules, the Starlifter, known for its high-grade SCU storage capabilities, its habitation, rest areas. Again, different compared to the Star Runner. You can almost feel the odd and infrequent breeze coming in from the temperate, fragrant winds from beyond the open space showroom, blasting through. And that temperate weather, and then you're treated with a infrequent fluctuation, a windy dose of refreshing and cool, fragrant air as we make our way through Crusaders ships. Let's see if we can close the panel. It's quite a way up there, so let's watch the closing mechanism. It's an impressive view. It's important to maintain focus and really take note of the many details, the mechanisms of all of these ships, rather than the hullabaloo, the running and gunning. Also the ambience. Let's actually open a compartment. Just a marvelous sequence of specific mechanisms that fall into place sequentially in a perfectly rendered display. Marvelous. Concrete struts, let's have a look at the Mercury Star Runner now. Time is of the essence in many respects, so let's try and be mindful, speedy but not too fast to dampen our experience. Mercury Star Runner, a versatile ship. 64 SCU, I believe. Storage capacity. But something to earmark for acquisition. A definite focus of this frontier. Crusader Industries Star Runner. A versatile, functional, athletic craft in the ever-evolving arsenal ships, vehicles, make up the impressive verse. Let's close the door. Let's not spend too long on this. We do want to see, and again, perfectly suited for many Armstrong moments. We also have light control as well. Lights off. So what we'll do is let's have a wander through the internals here on the Star Runner. And that's the only thing with this craft. It's got so many compartments, compacted areas. Really just, let's have a go at closing. And again, Crusaders Industries noted mechanisms that are all part of the accessibility, especially these signature circular doors. Let's have a go and open the main door. Even has a little compartment on the side to open to access the lever. Well, the doorway was open, actually. So let's go ahead. Again, very impressive sequence. Opening and closing mechanisms. I think we're going to need to crouch. Let's wander through here. Close the door behind us. Just feel the subsystems, the ambience, the internal running of all the systems, how they operate. Almost feels like Dallas going through conduits in Alien, expecting a xenomorph to appear, such as the high-grade detail aesthetic is employed in the internal structures, conduits, power structures, internal systems. See, I thought that was someone. It's actually a reflection of the vent systems again. That's how atmospheric this craft is. Internal systems, conduits, and spaces. Avionics bays. Another impressive sight here. We can see the light being partially obscured by the massive ventilation system, making sure the internals are cooled somewhat. We have a signal here to carry. Looks like a small chess piece. We have a door as well. Let's see what this leads to. Again, very impressive. Where do these places lead? How do they... Let's see. Looks like we're unable to access it unless there's a small lift. Looks like there's a platform. Lift function, or maybe that's to jump down. Recreation, it's a recreation part. Again, the sleek movements of some of these mechanisms. A lot of WD-40. Let's continue on and see what we can see. You can almost feel the ventilation, the avionic systems, the internal conduits, the piping, all here to serve. Aesthetic. Stand clear of vent, more venting. And this is just the lower level. We do have the flight deck and the server room to have a look at. But again, a very impressive display of the internals of the lower levels here, the Mercury Star Runner. True access point. Fuses, spaces, environments. So I suppose one can just simply jump down into the lower area to access any fuses that need replacing. Let's hide from a moment to think down here, a moment to reflect. Let's see. We seem to, what we've done is we've actually journeyed on through and come out the other side of the Star Runner access. So we can really tell that although from the outside it looks rather small, it's actually quite an extensive ship, and that's the other side of the access point, the cargo area. Oops. there we have. We've emerged from the internal conduit systems. So let's go ahead and have a look. Server room. Again, we've done a presentation on the Star Runner, but it's not to the kind of fidelity we're hoping for in a spectacular view now. These server rooms. Storage rooms. Internal computer access points running internal systems. Data storage. And here's the server. Here are the servers. And it's that functional ambience, that residual sound that runs in the background, that has that ASMR-ish kind of central focus. It's always a nice thing to search for those server sounds online. Have it running in the background when you're doing some cerebral activities, going deep on any thoughts. Nothing like listening to a orchestra. Server soundtrack. A very good rendition. So we have bridge access, and we have a turret access system here. Turret down, turret up. So again, I do enjoy the server access room. It's imagine just coasting across, sitting down here, reading a few passages as your Mercury Star Runner is journeying across the verse, touching down on some planet, just absorbing the ambience. So high-grade accessibility. Let's head to the cargo. Oh no, that's the cargo section. We've just come from that, sorry. Let's head to the habitation area. So we have two doors, recreation and habitation. Let's have a look at habitation. And this is where that immersion really comes into effectiveness, comes into its own in these environments, giving a real immersion state, especially when you're landed on some planet and you want to retreat back into the sanctity of your protective vessel. So space for some stowage, and indeed some bunks, some excess cupboards. Toilet access. Again, really emphasizing that presence. This is a place where you can simply explore, simply take your time to really appreciate what the ambience is like. So that's the recreation. Heading through, there's the server room. Servers here. There's the residual sound of the servers at the distance, just beyond the door. But let's go to the recreation room. Here is really impressive. And really get a sense what it must be like to coast across the verse. Take a seat. You have your kitchenette. And all you require is a good game of cerebral chess to pass the time as you journey on through to undiscovered worlds protected by the surround shields and the impressive structure of this sturdy, solidly built spacecraft. Coffee machines, and we do have a coffee machine. espresso maker. Unfortunately, it's not accessible or functional. Such are the coffee machines aren't functional. They used to be, but they're no longer functional. Let's head on now to the bridge. Take a seat on the bridge. It's a high-grade render environment, both rendering the showroom and the flight deck. The viewing area here. Very good visibility. We've got the C1 Spirit to explore. This is a truly exceptional degree of visibility. In the distance, the strip lighting, the Crusader Showroom. In a very impressive, aesthetically approachable, very efficient spacecraft with all these different compartments in the Mercury Star Runner. Ready to acquire the Mercury Star Runner as soon as we amass our credits. Our intentions are to do as many hauling missions as possible, amass our AUAC, come to the Crusader Showroom, and purchase the Mercury Star Runner. So let's head on through and get to our C1 Spirit. Do some tasking, then head to Pyro. That's what we might do on the spectacular side, watching the ramp lower, casting our eyes out onto the many different vistas that we're going to experience. The C1 Spirit has a very good Armstrong ramp. We have emerging daylight in the distance. Unmistakable vistas, especially the light of day, and the emerging dawn, and the dissipating light. When dusk arrives, so different lighting causing an impressive visual display, visual ambience, different times of the day and night. So the Mercury Star Runner, exceptional craft, something that we will definitely look to acquire. Think our exploration here. Also, you can actually see how the sound beyond the open space of the Crusader Showroom changes. It's where obviously the showroom itself serves as a natural windbreak, was a man-made windbreak. So really impressive, sleek lines. This showroom. Well, let's journey on through, make our way to the August spaceport. We call our C1 Spirit, and I think what we'll do is head directly to Pyro. And explore Pyro in our C1 Spirit. Quick journey up, and we're ready to head. So take the sky train, head to a spaceport. They're quite a good thing to land on some of these platforms and watch the sun, watch Stanton rise beyond the horizon. as night gradually gives way to day. What's the impressive aspect behind Crusader, behind its atmosphere? It really does provide a spectacular opportunity to see the different lights, the different grading, the hues, light spaces that make up this place of sleek lines and focused elegance. So, there's the Augustano spaceport. Let's await this rather precarious platform. Ever distant, infinite drop to Crusader's core just beneath us. Such as an
The next shuttle is approaching the station.
impressive reminder about the kind of fidelity, graphical capabilities we are able to project as our imagination serves us
For passengers, the shuttle is preparing to depart.
to build this
Please clear the hatch. Shuttle will be departing.
impressive worlds. Origin's quote? Origin Systems, is it? We create worlds. From the times of Wing Commander to now a fully interactive, dynamic, realized universe of spaces and distances. Crusader Showroom. Journey to the spaceport. A good opportunity to land on some of those platforms. And there, the Augustano spaceport, coming in for an arrival, just underneath the journey back to Stratus.
Approaching next station. If this is your stop, please prepare to disembark.
Just a
Last call for passengers. The shuttle is preparing to depart.
really spectacular view.
Please clear the hatch.
The Skyway shuttle heading to Providence platform. Heavy reliance on self-correcting boosters to keep Orison's floating platform, multiple platforms, from sinking,
The next shuttle
disappearing
is approaching the station.
into Crusader's core. Okay, let's go ahead to the Augustano spaceport. Rather enthused with the depth and detail of this place. The opulence is also part of this journey, especially now since
The shuttle is preparing to depart.
the Stanton's light is coming through. Oh yes, the Augustano spaceport's quote, vistas worth visiting. So let's head on through get to the departure lounges. I was greeted by the rather impressive, extensive view of this vista. So not get too distracted with our intentions, objectives. There's certainly a profoundly impressive view of this entire lattice work. Built here in Crusader's atmosphere, a fully realized, fully physicalized world into which we're journeying through. Again, once more, you could just feel the early morning breeze coming in, getting a real sense of the essence of the place. So let's head to the spaceport, but slightly distracted by our little journey there to observe, to take note of the Mercury Star Runner, go to the Crusader Showroom. Now, let's go. Hopefully recall our...
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System.
And there we have, not too long,
Your insurance claim has been sent.
on the, about 1 hour 39. So what we might do,
Please visit us
I
again.
wonder if we can go back to Traveller and go ahead and rehire. Rehire the C1 Spirit. It's going to take longer than 1 hour 30 minutes to explore. Multiple access, spaces and journeys. Once there's the Dragonfly. Almost tempted to take the Dragonfly and mount it inside the C1 Spirit. So there we have our C1 Spirit. Getting low on the critical AUAC, so we'll be doing some tasking. But the ultimate fusion of Zen-like states, coming from the habitation area, extending out here to the spaceport. Hopefully won't experience any anomalies.
Your insurance claim has been sent. Thank you. Visit us again.
Oops. Is someone actually using that?
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System.
Vehicle retrieval system now. Did we create a problem by renting it before?
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System.
Perhaps we shouldn't have rented the C1. Let's wait a moment. Ah, no, we have.
To the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System.
So, there we have a rented... This Exabyte.
Your insurance claim has
will
been
be
set.
3 minutes, so we can go ahead and try and pay the expedited fee. Doesn't want to.
Please visit us again to the ASOC vehicle retrieval system.
Much apologies for this slight error here, but let's see if we're able now to access our C1 Spirit. So from the Crusader Showroom, wandering around, exploring the elegance, the opulence, and the presentation of Orison.
Selected. Stand by.
And then we
Vehicle has
have
been
the
delivered to the following
location delivery of the C1 Spirit. Really get a real essence of what this space is actually like, imparting that there we have a medium hangar with a C1 Spirit heading on down. Emerging into the comfortable aesthetic of the medium-sized hangar. There, the C1 Spirit. Didn't really explore the ship as much as we wanted to, so this is possibly the first real look at the C1. And again, Crusader Industries corporate design, the white and blue, and the word Spirit. This is a truly versatile and accessible ship, owing to its elegance, its sleek lines, and the heavy plated design philosophies that are a part of this vehicle. The essence, the design approach, the philosophies, the principles of Crusader, all embodied in this very elegant looking spacecraft. So we're going to head directly to Pyro. Won't be doing any tasking for the sake of time, because we want to capture those Armstrong moments. First time for Falcon's Frontier. That's impressive, a little red indicator light to show where the ramp's going to end up. Let's walk onto C1 Spirit. And such are the mechanisms, internal mechanisms, always with Crusader Industries. Let's see how this fares. There's something so inherently satisfying about watching these well-crafted internal mechanisms like the starlifter, the front, the bow, and the mechanism into which the front-loading port on the starlifter really does show the depth and detail, especially the little mechanisms in and around the Mercury Star Runner. There's definitely opportunity to experience these Armstrong moments as the ramp closes and secures us neatly inside. The internal door revealing, I think there's 48 or 64 SCU storage capacity. Sleek lines, more corporate structures. Cargo latching hatches. Cargo latches. Recessed cargo latches. Just the general ambience of this very, very, again, exuding that elegance, that sense of ambience that is known as part of Crusader. Let's go ahead to the front of the spacecraft to gain more storage capacities. Component module modifications, opportunity to upgrade, to install a small kitchenette. For those all important ready meals when you're too busy dealing with the verse. Gun racks and suit storage, as well as the bed here. Be quite an opportunity to watch us coast across the verse whilst we're reading a few passages, just absorbing the ambience, being in the silence. Let's depart the August Dunlo spaceport. Send us into Pyro.
Crusader Industries, a journey worth taking. Systems on.
Bit of a wait. That's all right. As we connect to the design aesthetic, this environment, let's. Again, very impressive ship. Sit back down onto the seat. And there, the doors open to a new day here. Not say surface, in the Orison's latticework city. Let's rise up. Each of the engines would be quite useful. Watch it also has a functional tractor beam at the rear of the ship. Let's rise up. Retract the gear. Cast ourselves out. Be sure not to clip the Spirit's wings either side of the hangar. It's always an impressive sight to note the sound transitions between the spaces. The light coming in reflecting off the fuselage. Let's engage the system. Cast ourselves out. Really noting the ambience, the silence, moving away. This huge array. Again, let's feel the crisp, temperate, yet pre-morning, that dawn air, dawn atmosphere. The ambience, the spaces, the sounds, and the sights. I want to try and engage the
Shields off.
system so we can blast our way out into space. And there we have it. Cruise control enabled. The C1 Spirit, heading on out into the vast spaces beyond. It really is a very nice looking spacecraft. Its internal lines, its corporate structures, its elegant symmetry, imparting a an ambience that is rarely experienced in some of the other ships. Perhaps the MISC ships. The other ships are very functional. And this seems to combine both style and functionality. There in the distance, this huge cityscape. Just there, a few dots in the distance. As we journey on through. Making our way into the verse. I wonder if we've reached our terminal speed. We haven't. I don't know why. Let's see. Oh, there's a gear retracted. Gear has been retracted. Even to the point of seeing the blue and white fused together with the amazing hues that are part of this entire planet. And this is not a single space, this is an entirely physicalized world. Depth and detail, such as the impressive capabilities of the verse. So let's reach the atmosphere, let's beyond the atmosphere, engage the quantum drive, and head to the Pyro gateway. Single beacon emanating from the Stanton spaceport. Notifying patrons of the verse where to go when they arrive at this floating city. Notable transition, especially when we leave the atmosphere. We enter, we transition into space. Note somewhat the unmistakable hum, the internal systems, really emphasizing the scale, almost a sense of vertigo, a sense of height. It is induced when reaching such altitudes. powerful beacon of the August Dunlow spaceport. And all they are, from this perspective, is a small group of individual patches. From serial numbers to conduits to the Crusader Showroom, all contained in that disappearing small lattice work. A few dots, and now all that can be seen is the beacon from the spaceport, really emphasizing when we were crawling around the Mercury Star Runner from scale and perspective, a more visceral demonstration, the kind of data that is involved in this evolving space. That deep, rumbling sound at the distance, adding to the scale. So we've reached our velocity, so let's select our location and head to the Pyro gateway. Let's watch Crusader disappear as we engage the quantum drive. Another exercise in scale. It was really quite an amazing demonstration, seeing the C1 Spirit leave Crusader's atmosphere and depart on out through the atmosphere and into space. It's an ultimate fusion, somewhat different science fiction. It's interwoven into this, some of this kind of space operas or the surrounding environments, calls into view into mind Ian M. Banks and his incredible storytelling. A very cerebral author of incredible depth and imagination, coupled with wit, the ability to impart an excellent story. Using together space operas, the visions of space operatic scenes of incredible magnitude, coupled with his evolution and development of civilizations. That one does recall or is inspired by the kind of scenes that we have here. Inner Banks. Getting ever closer now to the Pyro gateway. Journeying on through.
Quantum travel complete. Travel
the
complete.
silence, and the journey. We've now arrived. Quantum pathway. Pyro gateway.
Shields on.
Very maneuverable craft. Let's head on over, and perhaps what we can do is request landing here.
Landing gear down.
Let's land. It's quite a distance, actually. Refuel our quantum. Do a quantum refuel. Some dexterity required. There we have. Strafing down, trying to maneuver ourselves into a position where we can reach. Medium hangar. Do an auto land. A spectacular sight. Let's quickly refuel so we can to repair as well. And also, let's hydrate before our journey. Okay, let's see. And there we have. So we've got some coffee here, but let's split. And hydrate before our journey. Go ahead with a... That should be okay. Let's go ahead and journey on through. Quantum fuel should be refueled. So let's go ahead. Get to Pyro. Just a quick refreshment. Let's engage the engines. The engines are engaged, so all it requires is for us to request our departure.
You are clear to launch.
Launch complete.
It requires some precision flying. The doors opening. The Pyro gateway. So we better make sure now we exit. Slowly. There we have. Clear. Gear retraction.
Landing gear up.
Spectacular demonstration. So here's the jump point. So the next phase now is to explore Pyro. First time for Falcon's Frontier to get to Pyro. So let's see how we fare.
Shields off.
Getting ever closer now. Journeying to Pyro in our C1 Spirit. Albeit rented, but we hope to acquire. The C1, the Mercury Star Runner. So we could see the, and there we have the activation. So that's how entry requirements met. So we have tuning. Tuning complete. But we need to align. Our first time to get through, so we have tuning here. Oh, but we're going the other way. So it seems to be a bit of a problem here. Trying to access the jump point opening. It's drawing us in. Ready to leave Stanton and head to Pyro. There we have it. Very impressive. We obviously haven't been to maneuverability as well. Passing billions of kilometers. as we journey on through, making sure not to hit the walls as we did. You can see the red hue in Pyro as we reach the lawless and fiery world that is Pyro. Their completed journey, we have merged into Pyro. There, rather impressive location. Very interesting.
Shields on.
It was quite a journey going through. Just had to focus. A really interesting interplay between following the trail and ending up into and through the routing that led us here to Pyro. Pyro, upon with our C1 spirit, we merged. It's certainly different from Stanton in its huge deposits. This red world, this red part of the verse, fueled by lawlessness, toxic environments. Certainly impressive. Well, we managed to discover quite a bit in and around both. Just really spectacular. First time for Focus Frontier, obviously, seeing the enigmatic space interrupted by the relative calm and peace that is Stanton, into the fiery world here of fiery spaces or defined Pyro. Well, we have the Pyro gateway, but what we're going to do now is choose a planet and land on that planet. We'll do an Armstrong moment, then return to a station, hopefully conclude our session. We do want to get... we should consider slowing down. Perhaps do some tasking. We'll be able to do some tasking in the verse as well. In around Pyro, let's see. It's mostly a collection. We do have one hauling, but that will become more apparent as we experience this. Certainly an ambience in around Pyro. So let's head on through and explore, perhaps. This is one of the quite a collection of planets in around Pyro 5. Largest planet of the Pyro system, Pyro 5 has a striking atmosphere as well, with shades of green and yellow. So let's have a go and head Our journey is quite a distance, 91.36 gigameters, 5.59. Hopefully won't experience any problems. That is a distance. Just for reference, let's see how far some of the other spaces are. We zoom out. Well, it's near enough. Entire traverse in and around. And we don't have enough fuel to reach that. That's okay. But we still have. So our first journey to one of the spaces. Pyro, let's engage the quantum drive.
Shields off.
This is a total of a 6-minute journey. So quite a way. Ready to journey on through. Let's watch Pyro. Let's watch the Pyro gateway disappear as we engage quantum journey to our first planet in Pyro. We're seriously going into the depth, especially when you consider all the other spaces, the environments, and our capacity to explore them with our C1 Spirit. Certainly a ship we should consider. Don't want to disembark from, I don't want to get out of the pilot seat. That might cause us to lose our self. We might be cast into the verse through some anomaly, so that might prove to be challenging. And if that happens, we don't want to re-emerge at the Brentworth Center in Microtech. Yeah, quite a journey back.
Quantum fuel, 75%.
Gain the quantum fuel, the resources needed. Definite resources needed to explore Pyro to the fullest. Better journey. It's a quite an unusual wake, owing to the fact that it's a quantum conduit. But Pyro is distorted by the speed, the quantum journey, also the reflection. Collection of planets coming ever closer. An Armstrong moment here in Pyro with our C1 Spirit. It's important to have moments of silence, but got a bit distracted on the Crusader Showroom, looking at the Mercury Star Runner. But such is the difficulty with the verse. You're distracted, you're led into one path, and it takes some time. So what we'll try to do is try to truncate some of those distractions, try to refine our focus so we can be at one with this alternate world. Quantum fuel is going down. Hope we've managed to... It wouldn't have routed it. It would have obviously said that we have... we don't have enough fuel to reach the target, so I'm sure we do have the fuel required.
Fuel 25%.
Fuel 25%. So hopefully there's station. We're getting closer. Quantum fuel now getting very low. And our first viewing of this planet before us. What a journey.
Quantum travel complete.
And there, quite a journey, quantum travel. This incredibly dense atmosphere. First time viewing this planet. It's a gaslight, so there's a quantum location. So let's head on down to the surface. A striking atmosphere. I wonder if it's only negative, our suit, the pressures hopefully will be okay as we journey on down. Seem to be a few stations. Is it purely an atmospheric planet? Journey to the very impressive. Oh,
Quantum travel complete.
it's obstructed. Again, more visceral wonders presented to us as we become ever engrossed into the reality of this particular location. Obstructed. A bit of fact-finding. We are truly in the location here. We don't want to damage ourselves as a result of entering the atmosphere. Doesn't seem to be any any places. It is a physical planet. Has a striking atmosphere. Looks like solid areas, but doesn't look like there's any. Let's go and see if we can head on down and explore. Some of the items, some of the areas are obstructed. Let's try for perhaps this planet. Emulsify and sulfide of Fuego soil, turn it in a livid shade of yellow-black. Let's have a look. Feel with this planet. We'll explore it, but let's go ahead and explore this one here. See what we can see, if we can have an Armstrong moment.
Quantum travel engaged.
Be mindful and respect of our quantum fuel.
Quantum travel.
And there we have a striking planetary surface. A derelict outpost. A place specifically for mining. Let's head on down. This is where a small skimmer vehicle would have been useful to carry with us. Perhaps we can purchase one over here. Getting further down to the surface. Our first planet. This planet is visitable. Innermost moon of Pyro 5, covered in deep canyons and dried riverbeds. Vatra, a thick, high-pressure nitrogen methane atmosphere of this moon hides a dark and eerie landscape. Oh, that would be quite an interesting place to look at. Be mindful of our fuel. We should really... There, our journey down. C1 Spirit. Ready. First of the planets in Pyro to explore. The derelict outpost in the distance. Not much else in terms of any other stations on the surface. But it's quite striking in and around some looks just to be a green area. Adjust so we can skim across this rather intriguing surface.
Shields on.
You can see deposits somewhat. Very unusual space. Deposits, swirls, mountains, canyons. Perfect opportunity to see what it looks like. Explore this place. We'll re-engage the quantum drive. Those green areas, particularly interesting. A striking sense of balance and focus amongst the different feelings that we get here compared to Stanton. More a feeling of isolation. There's impressive natural phenomena, dunes and swirls. Part of the journey here. It's coming down now. The landscape. Landscape doesn't really reveal itself until you get really low and you can realize the topography revealing a real state of intrigue. Quite a varied topography. No flat lands. Somewhere here on the surface, out, all the way from the August Unlow spaceport to this particular spot somewhere on this particular planet in another star system, billions of kilometers away. This is quite a nice feeling, just really experiencing once more the ambience. Not too fast, just enough to coast across. Let's have a look outside. So one of those euphoric moments, those goosebumpy moments. A solitary C1 spirit in an unknown world. Unknown at least to Falcon's frontier. Pyro. Known for its volatile instabilities, its flawless system. And here we are. Solitary and dutiful C1 spirit. Casting ourselves over and above this intriguing landscape, dunes, swirls, rock faces. Actually, we can do. It's kind of, what if we can increase our
Shields off.
speed? There we go. Increase in speed. just absorbing moments in silence. Hugely impressive view of the C1 Spirit. This planet's Fuego in the background. A silent explorer all the way from the inviting, comfortable, reassuring spaces in Orison to this seemingly intriguing yet barren world with canyons, valleys, intriguing spaces. Now coming up to a location, a green location. Let's see if we can over. We have a small rumble in our system. Obviously, we've engaged this cruise control. Let's keep the noise, the nose pointed upward. Let's have a look at that green patch, that green mass. Discern whether it's a deposit. Truly emphasizes the incredible, the varied and wide-ranging scope of the verse. It's another practice in the essential core of what the verse represents, in its reach from one space to the other. This looks to be
Shields on.
some sort of green deposit, so it's not wildlife. It's a barren deposit. Let's head over to that mountain in the distance. The sound of the C1's engines are particularly soothing, creating a presence. Overbearing sense of both presence and silence as part of the journey here. So what we'll do is this looks like a reasonable place to have the first Armstrong moment of Fuego. Mountain ridges in the distance, mountain ridges to intriguing spaces. It's very intriguing. location that is suitable. The first Armstrong moment. Capturing the light. Just being in the impressive ambience here. So what we'll do is, there are no actual mountains with enough of a platform to touch down. We want to be very careful to compromise the C1 structural integrity, to crash and re-emerge at the Brentworth Medical Center. Rather intriguing, but let's find a location now. And plan for our first Armstrong moment here. One of the planets here in Pyro. This was a challenge, trying to find a suitable spot. We don't want to hit any rocks to compromise our only life support. A C1 Spirit. This is a reasonable patch. I doubt whether we can land near the green area. So patches of green in the distance. There's a flat space, more or less. Over here, let's just land. Yeah, let's see. It seems to obviously come into resolution when we get further down. I'm not sure what those rocks are. They rocks or are they flora? Let's deploy the gear. And it is flora. Silence and solitude of our lowly spec C1 Spirit, journeying billions of kilometers to hopefully make a successful landing. Knowing our luck, we'll probably have a log out or timeout. Let's descend. Okay, so there are no structural problems. Touchdown. First time here. Fuego in Pyro. It's a bit precarious. Let's try now. There. Landing. Let's turn the engines off. Yeah, we are moving slightly.
Systems off.
And turn our systems off as well. So, let's disembark. Hopefully. Truly unique experience on this pioneer journey. We spent a bit more time trying to find a location, but we will try and minimize that in the next planet we visit. Although we know what's outside, it's a true experience getting to that Armstrong moment. Let's confirm that we're all suited. Open the door. You can see the light coming through. Ready. Our Armstrong moment. Somewhere, perhaps unvisited, on the surface. Off you go. And it's immediately striking. These plant structures are indeed much larger. Anticipated from the ship itself, and their footfall onto this planet. Only solitude. C1 spirit. Not too bad of a temperature. Temperature's -8 degrees, -9. Dense, dry characteristics. The surface here has been ravaged by unrelenting heat. We are able to track the location of our ship. Again, footfall on the surface of this planet. There's a derelict outpost. I think one derelict outpost on this surface. I'm sure there are a multitude. Caves, internal network, spaces. Not too bad a temperature. Very unusual planet, a mixture of both canyons, swells, that's a green deposit, and these plant-like structures. Intertwining plant structures. Part of the reality here beyond the all familiar places in Stanton. And now we're here on the surface. You go billions of kilometers away from the sanctity, the August Dunlo spaceport. Last thing we need is the ship to suffer some structural damage. Alas, if that occurs, we manage to explore. So let's see what we can see. Rock faces. So the first characteristic here of a planet that is very sandy, very windy. The structures, boulders, environments. We should perhaps have done a scan from the ship. Stepping off onto one of these planets and exploring them really does provide a quintessential ambience. As part of our exploration here in the solitude of the journey. These rock deposits, it's inherently a very dry reality. Megastructures in solitude, barren deserts, places of intrigue, and ever-expanding curiosities afforded to us in both the real and the virtual. Again, with the virtual world, we can craft a new reality, a direct link to our creative capabilities. To get too adventurous, we don't want to get stuck in any of this let's see what's beyond the ridge. C1 Spirit still okay, waiting for our return. Striking view. Just feels like you're beyond space. You're into another world, another dimension. Just feel the silence of it. Just feel the lower frequency silence. It's creating a signature style ambience that is part and associated with this planet over Fuego. An interesting space. This warrants us to do a scan to see what there is. Maybe there are a few caves, a few areas to explore. It'd be interesting to catch sundown. Descending once more. We'll see what it's like when we transition to night. A real sense of the varying lighting conditions on this planet. Getting a real practice in exploration here with the verse. True, barren, intriguing space. These particularly ominous-looking intertwined trees. The flora here adapting to its the reality of this desert-like environment. Certainly don't want to get caught here and get lost. Sandy death out beyond. Planets to explore as we continue. Well, it certainly provides to describe this particular experience, a silence, definitely a moment to reflect, do a bit of reading, do a bit of reflection. Let's have a silent pan round next to this rock. This particular rock perhaps has been unvisited. So do a silent pan round, really capture a signature style that is involved as part of the verse here on this continuing journey to explore, be inspired. Let's head on through. So what we'll do is head back to the C1. That's the only thing with these environments. They offer you the ability to explore them in great depth. Let's return back to the sanctity of the C1. Fortunately, no caves to explore, but I'm sure there are quite a few other natural anomalies, natural occurrences that occur in and around this space. But our main intention now is to get back to the C1 Spirit. Really trying to harvest the sense of inspiration that these particular planets provide. A bit too long on trying to scout for a location, but that will be the case on the next planet. We'll explore one other planet. Then what we'll do is try and find a location where we'll conclude the session. Door closed. It was a wonderful thing to catch those Armstrong moments. To the flight deck. Hopefully no problems. Okay, let's head on up. Track the gear. It's particularly notable about this area, this planet, is the stillness. It's quite feature-based in terms of the canyons, the spaces. It's certainly a place to do a bit of focused contemplation. Lots of areas. Just sit there and absorb the silence. So, what we'll do now, angle the C1 Spirit, head off to the next. Planet. Using the cruise control. Returning to the sanctuary, the C1 Spirit. An exceptional vehicle, both in its exploration, quite like the underlying sound signature that this ship provides. So next on the list, that one that mentions the eerie atmosphere. I think it's Vatra.
Quantum travel engaged.
We have to take note of the quantum fuel.
Quantum travel.
So let's land on a... Oh, that's again an impressive sight there. Pyro. Evidently showing another favorite. We have to get the module. Sears Canyon. I wonder indeed. Is that going to appear on the dark side? If it is, what we'll do is we'll try and adjust.
Quantum travel engaged.
Pyro in the distance.
Complete.
Painting. Again, a very interesting landscape here. So let's head on down. Make our an assessment of this landscape. Seems to be like only two outposts. On the surface. Let's head on down. This is the planet with the eerie atmosphere, dark, eerie landscape. So once we head on down to this planet's surface, we'll try and find a station and park the C1. It would have been an idea to bring the Dragonfly, one of the personal speeders, to skim across the planet. Wouldn't want to risk losing ourselves and not being able to locate the ship, although we do have a marker with us, so there'll be no problem in using the ship as a staging post for that kind of operation. More unusual landscapes as we encounter descent further down in daylight on this surface. Crater impacts, swirling canyons, two outposts. We'll probably visit the outposts. We are going to merge into the atmosphere.
Shields on.
Feature-based. This is quite a striking atmosphere, or striking landscape. Seem to have come in at a very scenic area. All these impressive. It's huge mountain ranges and deep canyons. So let's try and find silent coasting. Well, this is a very feature-based. Different to Fuego, this is a more... It's really quite an impressive... just a site to establish that we've travelled from Stanton. Arrived here in this feature. Feature based environment. So let's see if we can land. I doubt whether I would want to risk landing on a surface, a huge crater. Craters allow us to have a better environment, better area and better conditions in which we can land. Very eerie, let's very deep. I want to find a place where we could touch down, perhaps on that ridge. Ensure that we it's not as forgiving as the other areas. A really impressive space. Let's deploy the gear. Make landfall on this planetary surface. Successfully touched down. Luckily on a even looks uneven, but looks like the C1 is secure. So let's turn the engines off. Use gravity to secure us firmly down onto the surface. Another impressive soundscape, the spooling engines. Let's depart. C1, another Armstrong moment. This highly feature-based, very different to Fuego. Another Armstrong moment. Let's hope for the best. Looks a bit precarious to get down. Hopefully we can. It's a decision if we do jump down and unable to get on, we'll be forever stranded. We are drifting a little bit. Don't have a foothold on the... That's okay. So let's disembark. At the surface. This planet, a very mountainous planet full of landscapes, canyons, ridges. Very deep landscape. Let's continue on. See what we can establish. Only solace the C1 spirit. Pyro in the distance. Making sure that we don't get stuck. Making sure that we don't become trapped in this, on this planet. But here, again, another example of a space that planetary star engine technology used to create and forge new worlds. This is definitely very intriguing. Going to its rather eerie, especially during nightfall, especially when the planets turn away from Pyro. We watch nightfall on this surface. Usual component. Again, the variation in planetary structures, biomes, different variations, different structures, different environments really do signify transitional shift both in the depth, detail and structure of these virtual worlds, especially as we can see in the verse. Also, there's so many other virtual worlds to explore, but so much to discover, we don't want to go that way. But here, Vatra, a place of uneven spaces. Let's see if we can head to the, and it's currently 105 degrees. So, as we can see, minus 105 degrees. So again, a real Very, very cold surface. I mean, obviously, profoundly cold, and it's our core temperature is reducing, so we've got a lot to see and a lot to explore. This has moved somewhat. Nearly didn't make it onto the ramp. Rather long presentation, but hopefully our focus isn't waning somewhat. Let's head on through. So, Vatra, a place of both intrigue to various spaces. Obviously, the surface we want to explore, but we want to retreat to the sanctuary of the C1. To try and capture these Armstrong moments. Let's head back into the seat, initialize the engines.
Crusader Industries.
Rise up, retract the gear. Sanctuary of the Crusader C1. Very interesting topography. Part of the journey here. Exploring and seeing what we can see. It's important to obviously acknowledge and do some scanning. Across the many features in and around this space. Okay, let's head on up. Engage the quantum.
Shields.
I think we can use or should use the scanner. That will allow for increased opportunity to survey the important areas. Well, we can really get a sense of what it's like. On the surface as we engage Super Cruise and distance ourselves away from that small little patch at our surface. There are the initial checkpoints, the stations. Leave Obituary and Checkmate. So what we want to do is we want to see if we can. It's been quite a while with the presentation, so perhaps what we should do so that it has unique carbon crystalline plant structures. Pyro. And Pyro, as well as... So they're all very interesting. Striking atmosphere. That would be a very interesting... So perhaps what we should do is conclude the session. This time, trying to locate a base in order to refuel. There's vehicle services, landing pad, clinic. So let us route to Gaslight. First base here on the surf or in Pyro. Again, Pyro proving to be a very intriguing space. There are 2 bases here, which we'll have a look at. There's a lot to explore. But let's refuel our quantum fuel.
Quantum travel engaged.
And try and touch down on some of these additional planets. Very long presentation. Different clusters, different areas. Again, a lot to explore. We now have arrived at Gaslight.
Quantum travel complete.
Sanctuary of space. We can refuel and hopefully
Shields on.
look out. We'll have a look at, conclude the session, we'll have a look at Obituary and Checkmate. But let's now hail Gaslight. Hack request completed. Seems like a very unusual station. First of the many stations to visit in Pyro. You can also see if we have hauling opportunities as well. Again, get a real sense of the internal structure, reality of the kind of stations that are involved in Pyro compared to Stanton. Let's deploy the gear.
Landing gear down.
Getting a real sense of what Pyro is like. We can really see what this is very unusual.
Landing complete.
Reality of a different hangar. The Aeroview hangars of unparalleled comfort, the Augustano spaceport, and various other stations. Area 18, but here we're in the questionable space. So let's refuel. It's the first port. So hopefully wait. Refuel in progress.
Quantum fuel.
So we've
100%.
had a quantum fuel. So let's turn off the engines
Engines.
and the systems.
Systems off.
Let's disembark. Okay. Certainly quite different compared to the other spaces. Let's remove the helmet. Seem to be moving. So let's now open the ramp. First, a Falcon's Frontiers experience here on the really different derelict style environments. Gaslight, one of the first stations. Go ahead and see if we can improve our Buster's chocolate. Chocolate bars, all important considering our little excursion in the various planets. Let's close the ramp access. C1 Spirit. A dutiful and highly utilitarian ship. Rather misplaced here in its unfamiliar environment, and this is really quite a derelict location. I think perhaps it would have been as a precursor to our experiences in the Checkmate obituary stations, but we can see the highly unusual station here at Gaslight. Hanging wires, conduits, rather very different compared to the reality that we are indeed familiar with. Let's go ahead and store.
Welcome to the ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
Store the
Your vehicle has been moved to authority authority.
so a very different environment, a very different design aesthetic. Derelict. Poorly kept. So the obituary stations, the checkmate stations, must be many orders much greater than we can experience here. Lift systems as well are quite different. Okay. Very impressive. So, we've got docking port, the lobby. Here we have first station visit. A very different environment compared to the Augustano spaceport billions of kilometers away. Certainly quite different. This is definitely something that really emphasizes the nature of what these stations are like. Medical center and habitation area. So I suppose Witchery and the checkmate stations be something to be quite an impressive sight compared to as well various other locations, and obviously planet structures, derelict areas, and we hope to explore those with the same detail and depth. We hopefully haven't lost momentum. It's been 2.5-hour presentation. Perhaps in the latter part there's been a bit of a momentum reduction as we continue to explore, but this is the signature style Pyro offers, a place of certainly different. Hopefully the lift won't get stuck. Let's explore. Habitation area. Really quite a unique environment. Broken pipes, conduits, pathways. I'm sure indeed Gaslight has been visited by many patrons exploring the verse and many other individuals, but it warrants further investigation as to how we style and essence of the journey. Obviously, if you select Pyro as your primary residence, you're much here, but feel out of place in a place that is remarkably different from the all too familiar spaces in and around Stanton. Well, let's see if we can find a location to sit down and conclude our main journey here. Wandering through, landing on Fuego, Vatra, and we have additional planets to land on and explore. Those planets to which we can hopefully procure the many Armstrong moments are part of the verse. A very different reality. It'll be very interesting to have a look at the larger stations and touch down on some of the planets, the derelict stations, the outposts. Get a real sense of what it's like. Administration. I think what we should do is explore those. First time for Vox Frontier seeing this intriguing space. Equipment, Galleria, the food area. It's amazing how they reintroduce the same structure almost with a uniquely different approach. Same internals, but the surrounding area is uniquely different. That is the essence of the journey. Weapon shop. Slightly different style compared to what we're also familiar with, the comfortable aesthetic beyond. But the lawless and partially maintained, derelict rows of ruin here. Hangar transit. We're coming to the There's the food court, so where Gaslight's quite a functional area. There's the hangar transit location, the terminals. So head to the food court, take a seat, conclude the session. Well, it's been an interesting session of both discovery and a real eye-opening experience, both some of the landing on some of the planets, but equally so getting to Pyro and exploring as much as we can. We have the opportunity to fulfill some hauling activities with our C1. As we can see, we have maintenance as well. So hauling. Different environment. and delivery missions. As well. So, very impressive array of tasking available for us in the verse here in Pyro. Well, just about petering out in the presentation. So we'll try and find a location commodity shop. Take a seat. Stand next to the fire. Conclude our session. There's the food court. Let's see if we can get to the food court. Amazing and adaptable place, but really a striking area. Tripping hazards to makeshift bridges, conduits, plugs, cables, everything everywhere. But there we have the fleet manager. Back into the elevators. Very small food court. So it looks like we'll try and find a place to stand and view the activities at the station.
That's the way it goes sometimes.
A very impressive view. Showing the derelict and partial, or near enough total destruction, adding to its atmosphere and its ambience. A really impressive display of both a focus and a sense of wonder at these stations. These places in both Pyro and Stanton provide. We'll continue our journey exploring some of the planets, Pyro, some of the stations, and as always do some hauling. But our main focus was, as said, head over to Pyro and see what kind of ambience we experienced. From the August Unlow Spaceport and the Crusader Showroom all the way to Pyro, our journey with the Crusader Spirit C1, our journeys on various planets. We've still got these other planets to explore, other stations to explore, and indeed Bloom, various other. There's the huge earthquakes, Fuego, and planet. So a whole myriad of explorations necessary to facilitate our journey into and throughout the entirety of the verse. Primary concern of Focus Frontier is both exploration, being inspired by what we see, looking at the detail, and mining, salvage, all in the aid of our journey to be inspired and explore. Focus Frontier will now leave you at the site as we peer out into this rather intriguing derelict station put together with any old material in order to have a functioning station right out on the fringes here in Pyro. Well, this is near enough a 3-hour presentation, so what we'll do now is end. Hope you've enjoyed the journey. Obviously, it's a long presentation, so take your pick and experience the journey as and when. There's a like, subscribe, and comment button, so whatever you feel can be approved and increase the fidelity of the presentation, which Frontier humbly acknowledges and is appreciative. Whatever your preference, but our main focus is to be inspired. This is Falcon's Frontier wishing you a safe, inspirational onward journey. Till next time, goodbye for now.
Well, everything happens for a reason, I guess.